I'm Traveling John, and I'm going to travel and sketch. Join me on the adventure.
We're taking a short drive from Auburn, California into the steep canyon of the American River in the California State Recreation Area.
This is the American River, and it's very close to the confluence where the north part of the American River meets the central part of the American River and flows down to Sacramento, close to Folsom, where again it meets the south part of the American River. This bridge, this old concrete bridge, was built in 1911, and the Mountain Quarry Company was going to build a quarry just about a mile up the river, and that was the central part of the American River. And they wanted to get all the rocks down to Sacramento. And in order to do that, they had to use a railroad. So they built that concrete bridge back in 1911, and from what I understand, it cost about $1 million, which was a lot of money in those days. But it was going to be a good business, and actually it lasted for about 30 years, until about 1941. 1941, they took the railroad out, tracks, everything was gone, except for the bridge that stayed up. And the bridge has lasted through many floods to the point where there's water coming up to the very top of the arches. That's how much water. We've had a good year this year in Sacramento, in California. And so we've got a good flow of water, a good snowpack, which is a blessing. After the railroad left, they continued to use it on horseback. Well, there was once a lady that went across the bridge on horseback, and some guy probably asked her, aren't you a little bit scared of crossing that bridge? Because there's nothing on the sides, there's no railing, there's nothing. And she looked at him and she raised her arms up and went across the bridge. And from then on it was called No Hands Bridge, because she was very brave. Now, the other interesting thing about this area is actually that bridge should have been underwater. And the reason it should have been underwater is because they were planning to build one of the tallest concrete dams in California, just about a mile down from us. And that was going to be called the Auburn Dam, highest concrete dam in California. And they started building it in 1969. And near 1970, there was a big earthquake up near Oroville. Thank you. Up near Oroville, there was a big earthquake. And because of that, they decided, we got to get our seismic specialists and our geologists back in and study this land and make sure this new dam, which was going to be so tall, was going to be safe. So they checked into it, and they they became a little nervous and decided, nope, we better not build it. So that's why we have that beautiful bridge to still look at. And the other thing that's interesting is if you look up from the concrete bridge, you'll see another road that's even higher up than this bridge. And that is actually the tallest bridge in California. It's called the Forest Hill Bridge because it goes to Forest Hill. And the reason that bridge is so tall is because in that direction they were going to build that real big dam, and they had to keep that road to Forest Hill, so that's why that's the tallest bridge in California. And if you go up there, you'll look down, not at water, but at a huge canyon going down to the North Fork of the American River.
So this is another vlog that takes place near my hometown of Auburn, California. And it's just about 20 minutes away in the Auburn State Recreation Area, which is a part of the California State Park system. And it includes 40 miles of the American River, some of which is used for whitewater rafting. And then, of course, in this area, there's also numerous trails for horseback riding and trail biking, hiking, and also camping. And if you want to canoe, there's also Lake Clementine that's included in that area. So it's a wonderful area, and I'm going to be concentrating on the historical part of this American River, which is the No Hands Bridge. and it's over 100 years old now, and I'm going to be sketching it in black and white to start with, and then in the next vlog I'm going to be adding color to it. So we're going to start off now with a black and white sketch, and the first thing I want to show you is a photo reference I used to develop that sketch. I started out with sketching in roughly the train and the bridge, and the line work just worked out better for me in this regard. Now, of course, I'm going into the detail of the front engine of this train, and I want to emphasize that that's what the No Hands Bridge was all about to start with, and so I'm taking it back into history when it had the train tracks. All the cars carried the rock. Now, of course, it's heading up towards the mine in this case, so it's not carrying anything yet, and it's going uphill slightly to the mine area. Working on the detail of all the little cars that it's pulling up to fill up with rock. Sorry again, I get my head in the way, but it's the only way I can do the illustration. It's really a beautiful bridge in its simplicity, and I think I already mentioned it was the largest concrete bridge at that time. First, roughing in, I like the rough effect of the wide stroke pen. I put in that dark rock, lots of it in shade. This is granite rock. It's amazing how high up that granite is really carved by that river. It gets very high sometimes, and again, I mentioned that before, but it's very dramatic to see how rough it is. Of course, some of the foliage comes down. And that pine tree I was working on, another one of those what we call digger pines. The rock comes right out to one of the supports for the bridge. As you can imagine, the current in this river is really strong. So yes, you can swim in it, but you have to be extremely careful because that current can take you down quickly. So of course you have to be pretty experienced. Now, the background hills, they're sort of layered, sort of like scenes in a play, one after another, going back. So I'm working on the last one first, the one that's furthest in the distance, and all of them are covered. They're steep, but they're covered by various foliage, trees, again digger pines, different kinds of pine trees, and now I'm working on the next one more forward. So I'm getting darker, but I'm going to go dark and light as these layers go back to emphasize the different hills as they're coming down towards the river. There's some really wonderful hiking paths and actually two dirt bike trails going through this area. So there are people that travel from all around to enjoy this California State Park. And I work on that digger pine. There are some on both sides, and excuse me. You can also see the smoke coming up from the steam engine. At that time, of course, it was steam. It's interesting, one of the paths that goes down, or you can enjoy going along towards the river, is a part of the old railroad track. So that's really fun to walk along. And in fact, a wide path that goes right to the old mine is a part of that used to be track area. Putting a little, as the steam comes out of the locomotive, it begins to just sort of fade into the air. So I'm trying to put little dots in there to give that effect as it just sort of fading away. Must have been a beautiful, exciting sight to see that train. Here's the completed ink line sketch of No Hands Bridge with the steam locomotive going up towards the central fork of the American River, just past the convergence that's up in this direction a little bit more. And it's going uphill towards the limestone mountain quarry, where it's going to pick up its load of limestone and then turn around and go back down alongside the American River. And the next vlog, I'm going to be starting to do the color work in this. I'm going to again scan this, and once I've scanned it, I'm going to put it into a software program on my computer and work in that software program to add color to it. So I hope you join me in that next vlog where I add color to No Hands Bridge. Now also, if again you're interested in a reprint of this, you can go to Etsy.com and either purchase a reprint of this, or you can get the original artwork. And again, those prints are always made museum quality, so you don't have to worry about them being a poor quality print. Now, I'd also like to encourage you to visit my website, where you can not only get an easy link to my store at Etsy, and you can also get an easy link to my vlogs at my video channel on YouTube. That way you can tell other people, which I would appreciate, about the vlogs I'm doing by simply mentioning my website, and then they can easily go to them. Now, of course, the last thing I'd love you to be able to do is subscribe to this vlog or the vlogs that I'm doing on my channel, because that way it makes it a lot easier for you to, again, find the additional ones I make in the future. So thanks for joining me on this black and white sketch portion, and of course I hope you join me in the color application coming up.